you, Caroline. That's really, really important, the question of language, the question of free things is coded as we see the internet, and we can't really that this is how it's supposed to be. Helen, I would like to follow up on the question on digital security. You know, we all don't move in this world the same way. You know, what is safe might not be universal safety. What is safe for a woman and man can be very different. You know, what is safe as a black woman moving in a certain place in the world can be very different to a white person or another poor person of another color. So I wanted us to go back to what are those fundamentals that affect our digital security, even when in reality, of course, we already know like we move differently. So it's the same replicated online. How does that affect how we navigate digital security as people on the continent?
I think that would be a good start if women and marginalized groups knew about like some of the security features that some of the apps have. That would be a good start. As to how it influences our lives, or take for example, if you need to two-factor authentication, for those who might not know, it's something that you can do so that you're very sure that when you sign into your account, it's you. So like the website is in your phone, to your phone, all that. So let's say you don't have that at all. What's going to happen is that maybe an ex or somebody that you're having trouble with is going to hack into your account and then take pleasure in spreading maybe some really private photos. So for us as women, it's an extra charge that we look for this information and that we are eager and really excited and very in search of this information. What can I do that is extra and that is already available? This is something that we call privacy by design. Is it okay if I can add to what the speaker was saying? So about the infrastructure, an example would be gaming. Gaming is really big, it's really important. It really helps with education. It's fun for the children. And if in gaming, as we have it now, the characters in the games are not a declaration of how we are as people in this land. It's usually the women are they are depicted in a not really nice way. So infrastructure, then we have to say, who is making these games? Who are the coders? Who are the programmers? Who are the developers? And shouldn't we put a feminist lens to this development cycle so that we make sure that we are represented fairly and that the children who use these games, they don't get the wrong impression and they have like empower about what they see online.
Thank you so much. That's very, very important because we take for granted, you know, you give a kid a game to play, you really do not think the impact. You only check probably just the ordinary things, but we don't really go in depth to understand how the gaming industry impacts right now on children and adults. So that is very, very important. Sandra and Anne, as organizers, you're building communities and organizing, fundraising, using online tools today. How does the current setup of the internet impact on your work? What is reinforced? What is new? How is the setup impacting your work? Thank you.
I'll start with a negative kind of impact, certain movement. So certain things, we know what happens online is a reflection of what happens offline. So certain things are reinforced in online spaces. For example, all the isms, racism, colorism, all the phobias, homophobia, transphobia, and all that. Gender-based violence is also reinforced online. So in my experience with organizing online and using online platforms for change, those are kind of the things that are being reinforced, that are stemming from oppressive systems from way back, for example, colonialism, and that are being socially ingrained in us. For example, the colonialism being replicate the same kind of things that we grown up knowing or reading about, just watching on TV, or seeing replicated on the internet. And then the other thing that I see that has been reinforced is that disproportionate access to technology, but also to the internet by women and gender diverse people. This has been reinforced by the infrastructure that the previous speakers have been talking about. And by infrastructure, I mean down to what we think are the small things like access to electricity. We know in Africa, load shedding is a very big problem. Even here, load shedding happens in this big hotel, So, and if probably you are using Wi-Fi and the internet goes out, then you have to incur costs to purchase mobile data, which we know is also really expensive. So even that ties into the economic disparity also ties into because internet costs are at an all-time high. Smart gadgets are really, really expensive. And so women and people who have other priorities, for example, the burden of care work, have to prioritize where they allocate their resources. And it's hard to believe that someone will prioritize buying an iPhone 14 Pro as opposed to buying it at home, right? So some of those things are also reinforced and kind of limit the access that women and gender diverse people have to the internet. Then also the issue of language, if I'm to add to what Caroline said. At the decolonizing the internet convening we had for the past 2 days, the issue of language came out really, really clearly. Who is controlling the narrative if language is limited? So what happens to someone who doesn't fluently speak the common languages that are seen online, right? And decolonizing in that sense, for me, looks like I want to write my surname in a Word document and not see red dotted lines underneath it, right? I want to see my representation in that kind of system at that level. I want to write something in my vernacular and not see it being flat, right? The same way other colonial languages are considered. So decolonizing in that sense means that we have to co-create an internet, whether it's in infrastructure, whether it's the content that we consume on online platforms, in a way that represents exactly what our experiences are. On the positive end, though, the nature of the internet fosters networking, a lot of networking, a lot of building community. And we also know that the internet is a space where marginalized voices get to speak up without the state's kind of control or something like that, right? Without boundaries, without borders. So it has enabled many of us to be in this room today. The power of the internet has done that. It has enabled me to meet amazing people, not just on this panel but outside. So I think, in a way, although the master's tools can dismantle the master's house, we need to figure out a way that we can use the existing structures for our own activism and organizing and mobilizing and creating change.
Thank you so much. That was powerful, and I would like to go to you to really take us through how current data reinforces certain challenges that you see and how you also navigating those.
I think when we internet, right, what most people don't understand is that it was created for white people, and how you access information, how you communicate with people. There was no consideration of African people, no consideration of anyone else that doesn't live in the West. So, when you think about language itself, right? How do you expect my grandmother, who lives in Wendover, to access the internet when there is no provisions for Lunda, right? If she sees maybe a text in English, can she translate it in Lunda? No, because what the West does when it says it's going to decolonize the internet or it's going to be inclusive, it will look for the two languages in a country that speaks 74 languages statement you've ever seen. So maybe I'll tweet and say, I am by FIFA, we're decolonizing the internet, and this is an amazing space for feminists. If we write that in Nyanja, or we translate it to Nyanja, what we're going to get is FIFA decolonizing West Kitchen Tomato. That is literally how it sounds like. I don't know about anyone else in other countries. We laugh at how Google translations, any of the social media translations don't work for us. So who exactly is in the room when you people are trying to include different languages? Who is working at your offices and thinking of African people on the African continent and how they're going to access this information? So it makes it extremely hard as community organizers, knowing that the only people who can reach online are those who speak English. And in a time of COVID, in a time of where we don't have resources, we are African people using our own money, our own homes to mobilize and to ensure that we're protecting our communities. How exactly are we going to reach someone who lives in Northwestern Province, who lives in Western Province, who speak a different language other than English, who speak Lozi, who speak Lenje, Bisa, all these bird languages? How are they able to access the information I'm providing, right? In Zambia, Zambia is the best African country to legalize abortion, right? Abortion is free at every government clinic. And yet, only 4% of the nation knows this. Because no one ever provides this information for them. It's all in English. They don't know their rights. They don't know how to access any of this information. They don't know that they can easily walk into a hospital and say, look, I have socioeconomic problems, I have mental health issues, I can't carry this baby to term, so I'd like to abort it. But because our language is in English, the information is all put out in English. It's not provided in local languages. No one can go online and say, okay, if someone argues with you and says abortion is illegal, but there's this human rights activist telling you, no, it's very much illegal. Then they say Google it. But when you Google, Google doesn't have it in your language. So how are we ensuring that people have access to life-saving treatments? You know, how do we make sure that people have access to rooms and spaces and answers when Google can't even get something as simple as our local language correct? You can study it in Dutch, you can have Russian, you can have French, you can have Italian. What's so hard about having it in our local languages? You can easily come to our countries. We have professionals, we have people who can speak these languages for years. You can easily come, teach them, and provide this language online so that we can be able to do our work. We can ensure that people have access to information, they have access to their rights, and they're able to access so many resources because it's accessible. So if something as simple as language is hard, what about everything else? You can't say you're providing the internet when how are they going to use that? Then we can go back to something as simple as when we go to the pandemic, right? Look at what happens. The West, so many of you were able to go back home, work from home, you were able to get educated, your kids were going to Zoom classes. What happens to children in rural areas who don't have access to laptops, who don't have access to smartphones? And even your websites don't have phone provisions for the few people who can access smartphones. You know, you access a website and it says this format is not available in mobile phone. So what happens? During the pandemic, we have this huge base of African children not getting educated because they don't have access to it. And the digital internet that's there is very westernized. Even your solutions for COVID are very westernized. So are you thinking about Africa? Is it a lot of funding and ignore all the Black activists in Africa who are actually doing the work and who have extreme experience. And in the end, you end up having your translations that tell me, instead of going straight, it's telling me to go south in a different language. So it's very disappointing for us as activists, honestly, because how are we going to do our work when half of the people can't access the sites that we can communicate with? So, yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that elaborate explanation of so many different intricate issues, particularly education and where the pandemic has thrown the continent in terms of population. I think there was a recent report from UNESCO about 10-year-olds right now not being able to have any comprehension because they miss a lot of education, and many of them don't know what to do with that waste time. And it's a real issue right now in how can we see online platforms and technologies, how can we use that as going forward and be aware of those inequalities and how actually in one country we can have such different experiences, but also when you compare the continent with other continents that you see that we are going to be able to be left behind place. Thank you so much. And all these things we've talked about, we seem to be stuck in between moves between states that are looking to heavily regulate or oftentimes don't know what they're doing about the internet, and their approach is really fear-based control. We have seen it become a trend in the African countries to ban cryptocurrencies right now. Is a trend. Anything that you might not understand, it might look like control is just like this, we are going to ban it. We have seen shutdowns, internet shutdowns. In Uganda, actually, we have not accessed Facebook since last year. You have to use VPN to access Facebook, and we had several shutdowns. So that's a very common tool that's been normalized. We have seen a growth of social media bills across the continent and taking all sorts of control, so expression of all kinds of expression. We've seen anti-pornography laws that want to take the toll to determine what adults can consume in their pastime. We have seen that kind of control. We've seen laws that are seeking to control women's bodies passed, and they have a real you see this in real life, but also online. You watch what can you share. If you're in a country that bans abortion totally, you can express yourself on that issue. So this kind of connection between our experience on the internet, but actually what is passed by our governments. So we are stuck between colonial legacies in the government, colonial states, basically, in their approach to legislation. As we work as activists, as educators, what does that present to us? How do we paint a road out of that between our governments that are really having this approach and then all these heavy corporations coming down on our economies, on our lives? Sandra, if you could.
That's a very big something to think about, food for thought. I just want to
probably start by maybe comparing how the states are reinforcing colonial remnants from the colonial era. You mentioned things about freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, and all those things that are tied to the use of the internet and online platforms, right? So in the colonial era, actually during slavery, slaves weren't allowed to have conversations on the cotton fields because, you know, there's chance for revolution, strategizing around all those things, right? And we see the states reinforcing these same things, just with newer methods and means and tools around freedom of speech and expression. At work, we usually joke about the fact that there is freedom of speech online. But once you've spoken, is there freedom of speech after? So once you've said what you want to say online, what happens? Because we see people who are very vocal about politics, around gender issues, around sexuality issues are always targeted by state-sponsored hatred or state-sponsored violence, right? So there is that kind of importation of these kind of infringement on rights by the state. And then it could also be thought about from the angle of infrastructure again, and how all these fiber cables to internet access, electricity, telephone masts, and all that are centralized in state strongholds. So in capital cities, peri-urban areas, and all that. Because there is this notion that people in rural areas or far away from the city centers don't really have need for the internet and these infrastructures, which is wrong, because whether I'm doing farming, whether I'm a teacher at a primary school somewhere, whether I'm doing mobile money transactions or whatever, I'm going to need this technology to work for me where I am. So why should some parts of the country or the continent be more developed than others, right? Because access to the internet is a universal right. We all need access to the internet, and this limits people from accessing information. And who are disproportionately affected? Women and gender diverse people, obviously. And we know increasingly knowledge is power, so if I don't have access to information, then how am I going to navigate the world, right? So I'll stop there and let someone else take it.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? Okay. You know, the one funny part about our African states is that they don't care much for the internet until it affects them, right? Almost all of us who I always feel like we know we get angry at the West for calling Africa like one country, but sometimes we really act all the same. In the sense that if I go to a government office right now, they're probably not even using a computer. They have access to computers, they have access to the internet with their phones, and yet they won't use it. I go to Kenya, I'll go to Uganda, and I'm going to experience the exact same thing. It's like our government is just sitting and not paying attention to internet until someone calls them out. Then suddenly they want to push for internet shutdowns. They want to push for cyberbullying laws that benefit them and shut up people and infringe on human rights. That's the only time they care about internet. Then when you reach Zambia, they suddenly, I'm not sure about the new government, but the previous one would wake up and say, tomorrow we're taxing anyone that uses Facebook. Then the next day we're taxing anyone that uses Netflix. You have to give us money, because they have to find ways to get as much money from us as possible. So it's about money, it's about keeping us quiet. It's never about the fundamental issues of the fact that people need access to internet, that we need to evolve as countries and as a continent to ensure that we can easily communicate, that we can do our work and basically develop. No, it's nothing about that. The only time Zambian governments or African governments are interested in internet is when they want to infringe on your human rights. Like, how dare you call out the president? How dare you? You should have shut up and ate your food. That's literally what the government does. So that's the only time our states are interested in the internet, when it's to shut us up.
Thank you so much. I think it's very powerful and reflection, the fact that our government, even when we have the reality of neo-colonial approaches to the internet by big tech, their interest is very narrow in their interaction with big tech, not in the interest of the citizens, definitely, and that remains a major challenge. They don't show up where we need them to show up to challenge these big technology companies, and they remain narrow, their narrow interest of social control continue to be what really shapes their interaction with big technology companies. And that leaves our lives in a very precarious state. I wanted to share an example of also how technology companies, of course, bully people of diverse genders, African people. Recently, the Queen died. The Queen of England died. And a Nigerian professor, tweeted before she was pronounced dead that may she die an excruciating death. And Twitter was ganging up with a billionaire to shut down Professor Uju Anya, to be off Twitter for days, and they put her in Twitter jail for days because she dared to speak against colonialism. So also we see that there's certain speech technology companies refuse. People who are colonized, marginalized people, they cannot speak. Their speech is labeled as hate speech or not, not civilized speech. So it's very, very important to reflect on actually, and look at actually the response and the amount of support. It was incredible, and that's why we have to show up. We have to show up, whether it's a government or technologies. We must stay united and show up for each other in those times. And it was incredible, the amount of pressure the company got, and also generally the idea that you can talk about your excitement that the Queen is dead. Someone colonized your people, killed your people. You have a right to be happy wherever, if she is alive or dead, So that was a very important example to remember as black people, as colonized people from the global south, how technology companies use things like hate speech to refuse us to have conversations about justice and what we seek as a people. So I wanted to share that. But finally, closing our panel, I wanted our panelists to share, we have talked about all these challenges and what we see. I wanted us to see what is your imagination of a decolonized internet for you? What is the imagination? Thank you.
Thank you. Allow me to comment on the previous question. Yeah, so I feel like the state, like internet, technology is changing and everything is moving really fast in the fourth industrial revolution, which is driven by STEM. And our governments are also trying to really catch up, but their approaches, they end up sometimes limiting and also affecting fellow citizens. For instance, like in Tanzania, most of the government services, they're trying to move them online. People should apply for everything online and all that. But there is less, even very little investment in digital literacy skills, which makes it difficult for citizens to really engage and use those opportunities and fully participate. They leave them stranded. But also, when we look at our educational institutions from secondary school level to universities, most of our government institutions are still, for instance, in tech, you find they are still learning languages even which are not applied in today's reality. They are of long time, the tech products that are being created now, those languages are even not contributing anything, but all those are on the curriculum, and students are graduating with that knowledge, and it makes them very incompetent even to get employment or even to develop solutions and contribute to the tech products ecosystem and change our communities and design our communities the way, design the internet the way we want it. So I would like to share an example. For instance,
sorry, Helen, if you could wrap up a bit.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So an internet that I imagine is a space whereby we have safe spaces for both online and offline for women to equally participate and also create solutions or products that really meet their needs and wants and meet their realities. For instance, women go through a lot, and there's nobody who can understand that apart from themselves. Men can't understand that. They can't understand our problems. It's so not okay for men to develop a menstrual application for women. So we need like a space whereby all the realities are met, like looking at the fact that they have children, they don't have time, they have gender roles on their backs, but all those things, they are taken in considerations so they're able to fully participate and also consume those technologies. So, yeah, that's that.
Thank you. Sandra, if you could share with us the African feminist decolonial responses or your imagination in closing.
Some of those responses look like movement building. Movement building comes together with solidarity. So what you just shared about Professor Uju and how people showed up for her, that is solidarity, and that is like one of the way of a decolonized, feminist-centered kind of fighting back, push back against these systems. We also need to agitate more for the laws and policies to advance together with the global technology growth, because if the impact, for example, if the impact of gender-based violence is still being underestimated offline, then when are we going to graduate to considering the effects of online violence as real in-life effects that impact on the lives of people who are internet users, mostly women, gender diverse people, sex workers, people who are really invalidated, whose existence is invalidated. Some of those strategies also look like content creation and development, centering narratives that reflect exactly what we want to see on the internet. So having alternative media, alternative narratives around different things, having teachings around our African history, Black history, things that have been erased over time, things that have been co-opted, knowledge that has been transferred out of the continent, things just kind of the way that we can push back as feminists on our journey to decolonizing.
Thank you so much, Helen. Thank you. If you can share your feminist imagination.
Yeah, I think
the internet.
that there's something to be said about technology in general and how it's inert and it can be molded and moved and changed. So in my head, I imagine the future to be like where the internet, people are making use of the virtual space and creating their own corners and developing their own websites and applications and places where they feel free. Let's give the big boys a little bit of competition, and let's teach them that accessibility is important, and maybe, as it usually happens, they will copy.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
For me, I feel it's the same thing you've said. The most powerful and beautiful thing about African women is that from a very long time, we've been marginalized. And so in being marginalized, we've learned to create our own spaces, our own funds, our own systems, and basically our own world. if anyone here who's on Twitter, you go on Twitter, there's what we call African Feminist Twitter. And all of us here are interconnected. We all know each other, we support each other, we help each other with resources, we connect, we teach people how to apply for grants. We share resources, we share money, we give each other tips, connections on how to protect ourselves, on how to advocate for our communities, because we know we're all we've got. Because the rest of the world doesn't think of us, doesn't care for us. And personally, I'm tired of begging for the West to think of African women as people. And so decolonizing the internet for us is creating our own system. And one day, we're going to leave your internet and go and create our own. And then you will come back and ask for us, because we're the ones that give you the content. We're the ones that preserve your worlds. You know, we're the ones that have access to natural resources and ensuring that the only reason the world has gone this far along with climate change is because African women every day are ensuring to protect your rivers, your lands, your homes. And one day you're going to think of us and realize we should have thought of them, we should have protected them, and we should have funded them.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much to our great panel. I would like to have an opportunity for a few questions. We only have, I think, 10 minutes, so we'll try as much as possible, make it short. Yes. Where is the... Okay.
Hello. Is it working? Hello? Hello, hello? Thank you so much. So the narrative that I would like to change is that the West is made up of so many people, including black people. And I think that Africa is an enemy of itself more than any other combined space, because we don't see ourselves in the form that we should, and perhaps appreciate the minds like now, sitting in a space like this, that can bring a lot of change to the digital space for women. So I just wanted to say that the help that we allegedly say is quoted in some sort of help does not necessarily come from a specific white color or race, but that there is a certain clique of people who exist who are...
If you have been following our live streams, you might have wondered how we have so many live streams running at once. So today, I'm going to show you how you can start multiple live streams at the same time on the same YouTube channel. Alright, so to start multiple live streams,
there is this problem, there is that problem, we are not recognized, we do not have the exact space, but in your own fields as feminists championing women in digital spaces, what are you doing? I'm from Zambia, so I'm excited to learn about what's happening in Ms. Holland's organization to champion this agenda.
you're going to need multiple instances of OBS, and there are two ways to do this. The first way is by running one instance of OBS per computer, but this only works if you have multiple computers. The second way, and the way that most of you are probably going to use, is running multiple instances of OBS on one computer. However, you have to keep in mind that this only works if your hardware is capable. I will be showing both methods with timestamps in the description, so let's get started with setting up the first live stream. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is head over to your YouTube account, then you want to click on your profile icon in the top right, and then click on YouTube Studio. Once you're on your channel dashboard, what you want to do is click on Create and then go live. Now once you're on your live streaming dashboard, what you want to do is click on the Schedule Stream button and then create a new live stream. Once you're here, you want to type in a title, description, and then set a time when you want the stream to start. Now once this is done, you want to click on either yes, it's made for kids, or no, it's not made for kids, depending on what type of stream you are starting. For this test, I'm going to click on no, it's not made for kids. Then you want to click on create stream, where YouTube will now automatically create your
social effects of colonialization on Africans. Just even from our names, how we interact, and the things that we do, we are a deeply troubled continent, not because we choose to be troubled, but because there's so much trauma and there's so much that's been stolen from us. And we have to think a little bit with compassion and also give us allowance in ensuring that we create the Africa we all envision one day.
Thank you, Anne. Just a little bit to rejoinder that when we talk about the West in feminism, we are actually not only talking about a specific place. We're talking about systems that have been designed for generations under the white supremacy and capitalism that are imposed on the world, but you are not in any way deciding how that system right now impacts you. That's the conversation. Thank you. Next.
Hi everyone, good morning. My name is Shema. When everybody was talking, I was thinking. Then when she raised that question, my thought was concretized, so to speak. So I agree with you on a lot of things you've said, but I also think that we need to understand, I'm sure we've had those conversations in the past, that what white feminists are fighting for, what African American feminists are fighting for, what African feminists are fighting for, is totally different. And there's no one-size-fits-all approach. But I do appreciate the fact that African feminists are beginning to take their place. It's hard work for us because, like we said, the system is rigged against us, but I'm starting to understand that we need to create our own spaces, and we're not telling our stories loud enough. We're not owning our narratives like we should. So those are the kind of things that we need to start doing. We need to start owning our narratives. Don't let them tell our stories for us. Even when we're doing work, so I work in policy formulation in Nigeria, and we're trying to promote gender democracy in my foundation, way beyond gender equality and gender equity. Equal access to resources, equal access to everything. So it's democratic distribution of everything, so to speak. And we realize that when we push for women in government even, we are not thinking about if these women are pursuing feminist interests. So when we are doing access, when we're creating access, we're not thinking about how do streetlights help women when they are walking down the road at night, We're not thinking about even making the internet safe. Women in government don't know how to do it. So I think that's where we need to push our conversations to start to engage women in
If you have been following our live streams, you might have wondered how we have so many live streams running at once. So today, I'm going to show you how you can start multiple live streams at the same time on the same YouTube channel. Alright, so to start multiple live streams, you're going to need multiple instances of OBS, and there are two ways to do this. The first way is by running one instance of OBS per computer, but this only works if you have multiple computers. The second way, and the way that most of you are probably going to use, is running multiple instances of OBS on one computer. However, you have to keep in mind that this only works if your hardware is capable. I will be showing both methods with timestamps in the description, so let's get started with setting up the first live stream. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is head over to your YouTube account, then you want to click on your profile icon in the top right and then click on YouTube Studio. Once you're on your channel dashboard, what you want to do is click on Create and then go live. Now once you're on your live streaming dashboard, what you want to do is click on the Schedule Stream button and then create a new live stream. Once you're here, you want to type in a title, a description, and then set a time when you want the stream to start. Now once this is done, you want to click on either yes, it's made for kids, or no, it's not made for kids, depending on what type of stream you are starting. For this test, I'm going to click on no, it's not made for kids. Then you want to click on create stream, where YouTube will now automatically create your event. And just like that, I have created my first live stream. Now if you don't know how to set up a live stream, you should watch our OBS tutorial, which will be linked in the description below. Now what you want to do in order to start a stream is open an OBS window, but if you are opening your first instance of OBS, all you want to do is click on OBS Studio. And to do that, all you want to do is click on OBS Studio. Once your OBS window is open, what you want to do is click on Settings, click on Output, and then select a bitrate that your computer is able to stream at. In my case, I will be using 2500 kbps. Then what you want to do is go to Stream, select YouTube, and then paste the stream key. Then you want to click Apply and OK, and just like that, your OBS is ready to live stream. Once you're ready to live stream, what you want to do is click Start Streaming. And now my preview is live on YouTube, and all I have to do is click Go Live in order to go live. And now to start, then you want to click Create once again, and then Go Live again. Then proceed with the exact same steps, schedule a stream, add a title, a description, and a time. Select if your live stream is made for kids, and then create your stream. Now once you're here, what you want to do is click on your Windows search bar once again, type in OBS, and then hold your Shift key while opening OBS Studio. Now what this will do is you will open another window of OBS. There is a warning message saying that OBS is already running.
Thanks. I am so unfeminist right now, and I'm ashamed. I would like to really thank our, translator. We do not even understand the sign language. That's how, we are also in this system. We expect them to understand us, but we don't understand them. So thank you so much. We really recognize your work and the fact that we are including everybody in this conference. Thank you. I'm sorry for not recognizing. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosbell. So a few announcements for housekeeping. These are from our organizers. So there is lunch on the ground floor until 1:30 p.m. So go and get some lunch. You're right to food, yay. And then in the afternoon, there will not be a reconvening in this space. So please download the agenda, because CIPESA has decided that we'll be paperless. So if you would like to see which sessions are happening in the afternoon, go to the FIFA website.
However, you can just ignore this and click launch anyway. Once you're here, what you want to do is create a new stream key on your dashboard, add a name for the stream key on your dashboard, add a description, and then select create. And then copy the stream key. Go back to your new OBS window. window and then follow the exact same steps that I demonstrated before. Go to your settings, go to stream, and then paste in the stream key. Then click apply and OK. And then just like that, you are able to start your new live stream. I will now click on start streaming, and in a second you will see the preview go live on YouTube. And now my preview is live on YouTube, and all I have to do is click go live in order to go live, and then I will have multiple live streams streaming at the same time on the same YouTube channel. So those were the first ways to stream multiple events at the same time. Streaming on multiple computers is just as simple, the only difference being that you will start the second OBS window on a different computer instead of on the same one. Now you are able to start your new description and then select create. And then copy the stream key. Go back to your new OBS window and then follow the exact same steps that I demonstrated before. Go to your settings, go to stream, and then paste in the stream key. Then click apply and OK. And then just like that, you are able to start your new live stream. I will now click on start streaming, and in a second you will see the preview go live on YouTube. And now my preview is live on YouTube, and all I have to do is click go live in order to go live, and then I will have multiple live streams streaming at the same time on the same YouTube channel. So those were the first ways to stream multiple events at the same time. Streaming on multiple computers is just as simple, the only difference being that you will start the second OBS window on a different computer instead of on the same one. Now there are a few things to keep in mind when you're running multiple live streams. For example, if you're using Nightbot, Nightbot will be in the chat of both live streams, and any commands and timers that you've set will be triggered in both streams at the same time. You should also remember to balance your OBS settings in order to control your network usage, as multiple live streams will use a lot more bandwidth. And if you're looking for how to host your live stream without using your own computer, or how to stream 24/7, you can watch our other video on 24/7 live streaming. And finally, you can also combine dual streaming with 24/7 streaming to have multiple 24/7 live streams. So that is all for this video. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down in the comments section below. Thanks for